in the beginning. Before the church, before the law, before the fall. Before everything there was God. Our identity, our story, even our purpose. Everything has to start somewhere. And in the beginning, God.
Every human being was created in the image of God. They have that value, but many don't recognize that. And so that's not the controlling factor in their life. And they're just going around aimlessly and blind. They may think that they have purpose, but in reality, their purpose is temporary. So I think that that is a sad state to not realize the value that has been created in you by Almighty God.
And I think it was important for us to kind of come back to this before we just rushed into the rest of Genesis, because of that reality, because it is so significant. And I think that, over the years, I think pastors and theologians and, churches in general, Bible teachers, whoever, I don't think it's that we were trying to devalue life or devalue the image of God. I'm just not sure that we camped out enough on it. And I'm saying me, we in general, to really let the implications of that settle into not just our theological understanding, but our everyday lives, because it literally changes everything.
It does.
When we realize that. And then, we move into chapter 4 of Genesis, and I realize that we're kind of skipping over some of this, and where people tend to focus their attention in Genesis, because here's where the foreshadowing of Jesus and how the serpent will get put on it. I mean, I get all of that, and I understand that now there's consequences. Now, instead of work just being the joy of a man's life, now it's going to be hard, and all of that kind of stuff. Labor for women is going to be difficult. All of those causes as a result of sin. Sin ruined everything. It made work hard, and it made having kids difficult.
Yes.
Think of the implications. And I sidetracked myself already. Think of the implications of that. In the garden, in the beginning, God intended for both of those things to be, I would argue,
a blessing,
an enjoyable blessing in our lives. And not the difficulty that they have become today because sin, and entered the world, and it just, obviously ruined everything. But in chapter 4, it says this, and now Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain, and said, I have acquired a man from the Lord. And then she bore again, this time his brother Abel. And now Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought an offering of fruit of the fruit of the ground to the Lord. Abel also brought of the first fruit of his flock and their fat. And the Lord respected Abel and his offering, but he did not respect Cain and his offering. And Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell. And so the Lord said to Cain, why are you angry? And why has your countenance fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you not do well, sin lies at the door, and its desire is for you, but you should rule over it. I mean, here's a warning right off the bat, right? Essentially, it's the same thing as, is it Peter that says that? Sin is, crouching at your door, like a lion. But, Cain ends up, becoming jealous, right? And he kills Abel because he brought a sacrifice that was acceptable, and Cain's was not.
But there was a problem with Cain's heart.
And we saw it right at the beginning, right? Before he ever gets to where he kills his brother, God recognized it. He says, don't do this. Don't go down this path.
The beginning matters. Knowing who God is and what he's done, knowing where we come from, helps us understand where he is leading us.